Good evening, and welcome to Lord Gugu's stream. Consider becoming a subscriber today to access the exclusive Stephen Sondheim Twitch emote. Tonight's performance of Musical Theater is Good, Actually, will run approximately 90 minutes with one intermission, and tonight the role of guest will be played by Molly Lambert. Please take this time to silence your cell phones and note all emergency exits. And please do not sit with your arms crossed while wearing mittens, or else you risk becoming a meme that refuses to die while inadvertently doing sexism in the process. And please enjoy Musical Theater is Good, Actually. Theater people do must they are so annoying, singing musicals that I Welcome back, everybody. We are here once again. It's Saturday. It's 8. Theater's always at 8, in the words of Roy Cohn, the character, not the real guy. The character in Angels in America. Never mind. It's not a musical. We can't be talking about it. This has been a really fun musical to get to watch this week, and I'm excited to talk about it, and a really great guest, one of my favorite internet people. But I also just want to give a quick update on last week with Max Mayer. Well, two things. So we had Max Mayer as our guest. G. Monet Bojangles, thank you for the follow. And we talked about Phantom of the Opera, an awesome musical. It was great. And I put the episode up on YouTube, and over 12 minutes of it had to get pulled. I had to edit them out on YouTube because ALW does not fuck around. He doesn't want you showing even I guess they did show the full songs from the clip, but it's whatever. Don't you I don't know. Anyway, sorry. That's why you got to watch live, everybody. But the other good news from last week is that now Max Mayer is a big-time convert. And I think that's my first big success story that I have here. Is Max, is into musicals now. He's been chatting me every day on Discord, being like, "Oh my god, I just watched Sweeney Todd. It's the best." So that's been really fun. But we are here this week to talk about Rock of Ages, and with such a great guest tonight, one of my personal favorite internet people. You know her from Twitter, you know her from the recently concluded but still beloved Night Calls podcast and her new podcast on Patreon. Everybody, please welcome, I'm screwing up already. We're having tech issues already. No, it's fine. And please welcome to the show, Molly Lambert. Yes. Hello. Can we hear you?
Hey guys.
Here she is. Yes. She's
long
rocking
day
out
on the road. Rocker. Ready to rock and roll.
It's all the same, I think. Only the names will change, personally. I'm a cowboy. So, Molly, I'm so excited to have you here. You are somebody that's really into all pop culture and just culture in general, I think. So how big of a musical head are you just off the bat? What's your gauge?
I'm a musical theater fan. I believe musical theater is good, actually.
Sweet. Awesome.
Am not a fan of most recent musicals, I'll say, but the last movie I saw before the pandemic started was Cats.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And I love another thing I've been doing a lot during the pandemic is watching old Busby Berkeley type musicals. I find that incredibly comforting.
Yeah.
And I had like it's just like a very scary day recently, and I was like, man, like what is gonna make me not think about how fucked up everything is? What if I watch Rock of Ages, hair metal jukebox musical on HBO? Because I had like clocked it and been like, coming back for you.
And you had never seen it before, right?
I had never seen it, but I remembered that people said that Tom Cruise was amazing in it, and I think I had just watched some other Tom Cruise performance that made me be like, oh, I want to check that out. Now seems like a good time to do that.
The man never gives less than, 1,000%, and oh boy, is that as true in this film as in any other, I tell you. We are getting ahead of ourselves, but I will say that I also watched it yesterday. I'd seen it when it first came out, but I didn't really pay attention to it when I was watching. But my wife was like, "No, this is amazing," and I was like, I was like on my phone or something, so I wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, I watched it like at the end of the work week, like nice little edible, and watched Rock of Ages and had the best time. So I'm excited to talk about that. But as return viewers will know, we start our show with just to get your background here and sort of where you're coming from, just in more detail, and just to give the full context, we have our musical theater quiz, and we are going to do that now. Usually I'm smoother about that transition, I swear, or maybe I'm not. So just off the bat, and I guess we've maybe spoilered this a bit already, what statement of these two statements do you agree with more? Musical theater is the pinnacle of human achievement as the purest and most complete synthesis of all art and performance. Or, musical theater is an abomination before God and man and destroying us as a society and human race. Which is closer to the truth, in your opinion?
Oh, I'm going with the pinnacle of human achievement. It's the complete art form, as you say.
Right. It can contain all art forms.
Type of art.
Yeah.
Name does it all.
And I'm a big everything is theater person too. I'm like a concert is theater, stand up is theater. I'm like, if it's a person in front of an audience, I'm like, that's theater. I'm like, it encompasses everything to me. Yeah. So have you always did you grow up doing theater, seeing theater at all, or what's your background just in general?
Yeah, I was in shows as a kid. I did not have the professional bug to take it to TV, but I liked being in my school's shows, and I was in some musicals in high school. I was in a lot of choruses. Didn't get a lot of leads, but I liked it because that's like when you get to just show up and hang out a lot, and you rarely even have to be on stage.
They're a lot of fun to do ensemble. And especially a lot of shows have great ensemble tracks where it's like I'd rather be on the ensemble in some shows.
I was in the ensemble and Into the Woods, and that was fun. And Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah,
also
Jesus Christ, that's
a fun show to be in.
Fun ensemble show. Yeah, I mean, Andrew Lloyd Webber loves to have just like a big group of people singing some big ass music.
Yeah, I saw Phantom of the Opera when I was a kid, and it blew my mind.
I just saw that for the first time last week, and it also blew my mind. I will say, I finally saw. I heard songs, but I saw it for the first time. It was incredible.
It's like a kitsch masterpiece, but it had a profound effect on me as a kid. I tried to direct a performance of it with my friends in grade school.
It has that effect on people. It's like you're either gonna do that or you're gonna draw fan art or write fan fiction, especially if you see it at a certain age. I can totally see it having that power.
It's very erotic.
Yeah, for sure.
You see it and you're like, this is making me feel weird and I don't know why.
Right.
Because I'm like a child on the cusp of puberty. It's gothic. It's got it all. It's not, the greatest musical of all time.
Yeah.
But
it has some stretches where you're like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and it's fine. But when it hits, man, it's incredible.
Yeah, I'm not a Sondheim person at all.
Okay, where this this has been Musical Theater is Good, actually. Everybody, we'll see you next week. I'm just kidding.
I respect it, but like I understand that probably for a lot of people that's the peak of musical theater, but to me the peak is like the 50s golden age, like Guys and Dolls. Is
I love
my
Guys and Dolls
musical.
as well. That's one of my favorites
Singing in the
too.
Rain.
Mm-hmm.
I like a big studio film musical, and that's what I thought Rock of Ages. I was like, I bet they spent so much money on this. Let's see.
Yeah, you know, it's they made choices. I mean, they were smart to keep it mostly to a unit set. I mean, you know, it's like all in one location mostly. But I need to. I've been watching more older musicals. I watched Fiddler on the Roof a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't seen it since I was like a kid. I barely remembered the movie, and I like fully cried. It was incredible, and it's a great film. Like the directing of it, it's amazing. I can't recommend that movie. I think it. So what I'm trying to do now, and that's why I want to go back and watch all the old ones, is I think my next quarantine project is I'm going to rank all the movie musicals and do like a definitive like top 20 or something.
I'll tell you what my favorite is, and this is kind of like demonstrates my taste in that it's probably like not the biggest one. I mean, obviously West Side Story is probably the best and most complete artwork of all time, you know? But I really like Carousel, which is really arc and fucked
problematic. We're canceling Molly tonight, everybody. Yeah. I mean, I will say, like, I'm not the hugest Rodgers and Hammerstein fan, but the music in Carousel is their best. That is their best music.
Yeah. It's almost like an opera.
Yeah, and it's like
I hate the Sound of Music. I thought I didn't like Grease, but then it turns out I really like Grease.
Are you? You strike me as more a Grease 2 person.
I'm totally a Grease 2 person. But that's like, I also appreciate regular Grease, and I think it's important to talk about because that's clearly what they were going for here.
Mm-hmm.
Rock of Ages, but they're trying to make a hair metal Grease.
Yeah, and
I'll get into it more. There are reasons why they don't succeed.
Yeah, but I think they could have, but they didn't. They did fall short. But it's we'll get into it. Anyway, let's move on to our next question here in our quiz. I could talk movie musicals for forever. Also, my other thing with movie musicals is they've been bad for like the past 30 or so years for the most part.
Except for Cats.
Well, yes, but I mean, and then Cats is it's like. It's not even a movie musical. It's a trash masterpiece. It's like on another
What
plate.
do you think about Chicago, the film of Chicago?
So I like Chicago because, well, I like Chicago, the show. And it's incredibly well written and great and fun. And it's pretty well cast. And he just basically puts a camera on it and that's good enough. But the great evil it did was convince people that Rob Marshall's the guy you have to get to direct a movie musical. And he hasn't directed a single even decent one since. He ruined some great ones, in fact, because he doesn't have any point of view. Like he does Into the Woods, and is like, it's just the most generic like storybook,
I forgot
like fairy tale.
Made a movie of that,
and it was Rob Marshall, and just like the numbers that are good in it are the ones where it's like performance driven, and it's like Chris Pine and Eric Magnuson being pretty funny. But when it's like you need some.
What else has even come out?
What'd you say?
What else has even come out recently?
So
I can't even think of like musical. So
my favorite from the past 20 or so years is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. That is amazing.
Oh well, that's perfect. You know what? That's what I was thinking too. It's like a jukebox musical, the perfect thing to adapt into a movie. People don't care that much. There's not like the cult around, like the cult is mostly around whatever the band is that the jukebox musical is about. So it's like, there's another thing about that. They're happy. And
yeah. And
that just seems like a perfect form and function.
And there's something about the like level of like an ABBA and like a rock, like just rock pastiche, like generic hair metal. That's like something at that level that's not taking itself too seriously. Is what is like I think is the key.
Well, it's like it's designed for crowd participation, which is really smart. You're saying like this is a show where we want you to sing along from the crowd. We don't care if you like sing over the performers. That's the whole point. We're creating a rock crowd atmosphere, honor two dead musical forms, rock and roll music and musical theater. Two 20th century greats.
Jack.
And
wait, I'm sorry. My friend Jack is telling me that I am the worst. No, Jack. Jack, if you have not seen Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, then you need to.
Is that the sequel? Is that the second one?
Yes, because oh my god, if you have not seen it, needs to be next on your list. I swear, it is incredible. It is because it was written to be a movie. And that's another reason why it works, is because so often when they do the adaptations, they either just put like a camera on the stage show, which is the producer's movie, is awful, or even like Hairspray to a degree is kind of the same way. But
which is so weird because it was a movie first.
Well, both of those are movie to stage back to movie, and so it's like a really like game of telephone where like the original bite is like completely gone by the.
No, I agree, and like some people can shoot dancing and some people can't.
Yeah, and that's a lost art in a big way.
Well, you know what? Like we talked about this on Night Call, but like I think we all thought the best dance movies of the past era are the Magic Mike movies.
Yes,
which are like the dancing all takes place like naturally within, especially the second one at that. Because like in the second one, they can just kind of get right to the stuff. They don't even have to set it up. It's just like, okay, they're male strippers and they're like going on a journey to, you know, get women in touch with themselves.
Right. Well, like that's when I go back and I like, and I watch some of even the older musicals, like even the Fosse movie musicals and stuff, like all that jazz and like, and just like, getting the opportunity to just show off dance and like really like give it stakes, like the actual performance of dance and like do stuff with it, like is wild and great. And it's something that I miss, that I wish that, we could get back to. All right, quiz. What's your musical theater archetype? Like if you were a character in a musical, what would your archetype be? Would it be the ingenue? The villain?
No, I always love the slutty friend. I love the slutty friend.
Slutty friend.
Because I was because I'm an alto, and I guess that's from opera. That's the trope. Is that like the main female
is
gets
a soprano,
the soprano parts, and then the like comic relief female gets the alto parts.
Well, that's like Oklahoma. It's like Lori is the soprano.
Oklahoma,
and then like Ado Annie. Right.
They all have the songs are better. It's a more fun character always.
Yeah, the character roles and the villain roles are always the best, and they're kind of one and the same also. But the villain.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma. Like, if I was cast in Oklahoma now, I'd be like, I only want to be Judd. That's the only part that's interesting for me.
Like, I mean, how is it possible to have it made a movie? I feel like Oklahoma. They did Dark Oklahoma.
Oh
twice.
yeah.
In our lifetime, they did it with Hugh Jackman. That's what Hugh Jackman got famous for. Was he was in like a gritty reboot of Oklahoma.
I don't know how gritty that one was, but the recent one on Broadway where they did it like a.
This one's grittier, but that one I remember at the time, it was like just that it was even approaching it at all naturalistically. People were like, you know, what everyone does when they mount an old show, which is to say, like, we're reinventing it from scratch, and like, you know, now it's going to relate to the current moment. But
you know about how Oklahoma is like one of the most important works of musical theater too. Speaking of dance, actually. That it's seen as like the first classic musical that like where all the songs are narrative driven and like further the story. It also tells the story both in song and dance because of Laurie's Dream Ballet. That also is not just a diversion; it's part of furthering the narrative. So that's like was at its time was like a very revolutionary musical, actually.
Yeah, I'm shocked we haven't gotten a film version of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
seems like there's a lot of old musicals you could attempt a better film version of, because so many of the film versions are whatever.
But I just think that Hollywood is and is going to remain, I think, just apathetic to musicals. Like, they'll take a chance on one every now and then. Like when they did my camera just die? Okay, that's great. My camera just froze.
No.
No, it's fine. I just restarted it. I was just like frozen. What was I fucking saying? Shit. Oh yeah. So like the Hollywood, like I can't think of the last musical that really like performed really, really well. Actually, the Mamma Mia movies do really well, especially internationally, especially like in the UK.
Yeah.
In the UK, that shit is,
I think also
unreal.
that stuff is on TV now. Disney does, like High School Musical
and the live
and High School Musical the show
and the live TV, like Jesus Christ Superstars and that sort of thing. Which some of those I do like, and I do think that that's a cool direction to go, and I would be interested in seeing more of it. But I would just prefer more just live captured, almost theater broadcast on TV.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the Grinch live, I think, is what I'm gonna have to settle for now.
Allison Williams' Peter Pan, that was so unhinged.
With Christopher Walken. It was just unreal.
Yeah, no, he was an amazing Captain Hook, and because I used to watch the Mary Martin one all the time on VHS. So I love the idea of like bringing back like 50s television in that way. Like we're gonna stage a musical and film it.
And that was a total thing that they would do a lot. Was they would just put on put whatever the big play was, and they would just put a camera on it, and then and it would just be live broadcast. So all right, so we're kind of already talking about this, but the next question is, how do you musical theater? So besides, movie musicals, especially, in the before times, we'll say, how often, would you go to the theater, or have you gone to see a lot of shows on Broadway or elsewhere, tours, and do you ever?
Oh my God, the last musical I saw was Newsies.
Ugh.
A live version of Newsies. My friend Goldie and I have been talking about going.
I hate the stage adaptation. It's one of my favorite movies. I mean, I was when I was 7, I taped it on the VHS off of Disney Channel, and it was wearing out so badly a few years later. It was barely, because I was watching it every week, and so I love the movie and I hate the stage adaptation. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
We made some choices in the stage adaptation, but it was just such a funny thing to see in general.
Yes.
And so much of the dancing is they step on a newspaper and then break it apart.
Yeah, right.
And every time.
They do a lot with the newspapers for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny. And it had some funny set pieces, and it was just a funny thing to do. And I was it's funny that Disney has any properties that are about striking workers.
And this is something, this is not the first.
I hate that.
This is not the first time that I've said this on this stream, but I think a lot of my leftist politics are from loving Newsies and watching Newsies all the time.
Well, it teaches you a lot about history.
And about unions, and it's the basic notion of collectively we're stronger type of thing, and if we band together, and it's that's the most classic thing in the world. And of course you can understand them mistreating children and the children being no. It's great,
right? And it's baby's first Citizen Kane.
Exactly. And it's got
newspaper corporations are bad, and they are.
It's got Robert Duvall as a very good villain. Robert Duvall. He's really ridiculous in that.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. That's actually a great movie musical too, now that you mention it. Although I think it didn't make any money, which is why they don't make them.
Well, they didn't make them for a while. After that, I think because of that. And it was
it has to be, and because they are expensive, they are.
Well, it was
big expensive spectacle to shoot.
Yeah, and it was the same year as Beauty and the Beast, and Beauty and the Beast was like rocket ship. I mean, everybody like one of their biggest hits, critically loved, and nominated for Best Picture. I mean, so they just went hard in that direction, and then ended up abandoning the 2D animation people as well. So,
right, because they were whatever's making money, that's what we're putting all of our eggs into that basket.
So, and until I see that happening, and what it needs is a director who understands how to do it, and that's why I would love to see somebody like an Ang Lee try to direct a musical, or like
yeah. Well, definitely, people that are good at fight choreography should be amazing
and have just
musical
a good
theater.
visual sense, or know how to direct on a scale, like, you know, and understand that that type of thing.
It has to be somebody who has a vision. I think it is very hard to get people to do that. Also, a lot of the auteur directors made musicals in the 80s that flopped really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Scorsese made New York, New York, which I really like, but was not a hit.
Should see that.
This is Ford Coppola made a musical. Just like a lot of directors, that was their dream, was like to make a big musical, and then they did, and it lost a lot of money.
Yeah, I've seen.
And I think a lot of the studios were like, we're not letting people do that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. They and it's the same. Well, on stage, they do sell better. You know, people want to see musicals, you know, typically more than plays. But plays you can put on a lot more cheaply with less people. Don't need to pay musicians, and don't need to, you know, all these other things that you need to do. And it's just like sort of easier to put together. It's just like, but like, so it's this whole cost benefit, but they are definitely like generally more popular. Like, you look at what's on Broadway and stuff.
Broadway musicals also cost a ton to put on, and I would say that at this point, all of the musicals, and part of the reason why musicals are not that good anymore is because most of them are just based on IP and based on properties that they're like, okay, well, we can make a musical out of this. A lot of jukebox musicals are not good, but I want to say the first big one was the Billy Joel one, Moving Out.
Was Moving Out before Mamma Mia? They were around the same time. They were like a year apart from each other, I think. They were really close.
Yeah, Moving Out was like Twyla Tharp. I don't even know if it counts as a musical because it's like a dance show technically, but it was like...
And it's like one guy at a piano that was singing.
Yeah, and it was like the music of Billy Joel, and we like have people dancing it out, basically, like, especially because they're such story songs, it's so easy to do. Then there was like a Bob Dylan one that everybody was like, this is the worst thing that anyone has ever made. It was set in like a traveling circus,
right?
Where people were
and that was like, also
actually.
And it was the same director, right? It was also Twyla, wasn't it?
It's all the same elements, but it was like,
right.
I don't think it has that kind of same. And also, people are just more precious about Bob Dylan than they are about Billy Joel. You know?
And I don't know.
I don't think Billy Joel can give a fuck if you like make a big, you know, Billy Joel wants to be on Broadway. I don't know if it's Bob Dylan's dream.
And Billy Joel in general, you can dance to it, and that's not the way that people think of taking in Bob Dylan songs in general. I mean, like, there are a few that I guess you could, but that's not what people associate.
I think these shows work best when they're upbeat. I think that's what people want from them, is escapism and like upbeat, happy nostalgia, you know? So like, that's why the ABBA one works so well, because people love ABBA music, and you just get to hear great ABBA songs, and you're in a crowd of people. And you can't ever see ABBA because they don't perform live and haven't in a billion years. So that is also like, not comparing it to the experience of seeing ABBA live. Like, this is what you get if you like ABBA.
Right.
The ABBA show. But, the Billy Joel one and Rock of Ages is, you know, really, they don't go that heavy into the metal ballads. A lot of it is like the more upbeat songs. That's what people want, my friend.
Yep. They just want to have a good time. I mean, and that's why the shows I love are super intellectual, depressing, about like a poor maid in the 60s in Louisiana and stuff. Like, that's my shit. That's what I'm into.
What is that? The Stubbs Terkel musical?
No, that's Caroline or Change, the Tony Kushner and Jimmy Tesori. Very, very good. There's a very good bootleg of the final week on Broadway. Very recommended. All right. So, okay, yeah, so this is, again, we're like already talking about what the next question is in the quiz. What musicals do you think should be more popular or beloved, and which should be less popular?
Wow, great question. It's a hard one.
These are where the takes come out. This is where I want takes.
This is where the takes come out. You know what? Oh God, I'm gonna alienate your whole audience again. That I already alienated by saying I'm not a big Sondheim person. By saying I also am really not a big Fosse person.
Wow.
At all.
That's interesting.
I know he's important. I know he's like the most influential, but I just don't care for it that much. It's kind of silly, you know. So I think All That Jazz is a little overrated. I think people like All That Jazz because it's so depressing.
Well, he predicts his own death. I think it's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. To me, it's a little bit like it's so indulgent that it doesn't like satisfy me in the way that I want a musical to do. It's like he's working something out with himself in that movie.
Well, and that's
fine.
And that's for me why it works is because it's so indulgent that it's like he casts his actual real life girlfriend as his girlfriend and like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like all these it's like it's such a hall of mirrors. Where is the Roy Scheider and where is Bob Fosse? That it's like I love it for that reason, but I also understand why that wouldn't work for everybody.
Yeah, but you know what I like? That is my musical that I like. That's incredibly depressing and is actually, now that I think about it, technically a jukebox musical. Is Pennies from Heaven? Have you ever seen that?
No, but that's Steve Martin.
There's
and
two versions of it. That's the American version. It was based on a BBC show, but it's all just like Depression era songs. And it's like they're all sort of fantasy sequences during like an incredibly depressing story. And the British one is Bob Hoskins.
Ooh, okay. I just watched Roger Rabbit today, so I'm in a Hoskins mood. Loving Hoskins.
It's great. I love depressing British stuff, and the British Pennies from Heaven is just like the most depressing British stuff. And the American version, because it's Steve Martin and Bernadette Peters, it's definitely like the American version. It's like the same basic idea, but a little more whimsical, a little softer edged, you know? But it's also really good, and I think that's underrated, definitely.
So, I'm sorry, I'm not going to press on this too much, but I just need to know, like, so what is your Sondheim exposure? Like, what have you seen? Like, what are you basing not Sondheim? Just curious.
I saw, just like I saw a little Night Music.
Oh, okay.
I
love that one.
Too young.
Oh, yeah. You got to be an adult to appreciate that one.
I was too young. I had just seen Phantom of the Opera, so I was like, okay, there is like nothing as cool as a chandelier falling,
Oh, yeah, no. I would have hated that if I saw that as a kid. I totally would have.
Well, my friend Tess from Night Call, she loves Sondheim musicals because they also remind her of like she grew up in New York in that era, like when people would be listening to those cast recordings all the time. Like her parents, I think, just listened to Company all the time. So I think I just kind of didn't have an entry point into Sondheim.
Yeah,
I always found it a little studied for me personally, but obviously he also worked on West Side Story, which is the greatest. So
well, yeah, and also he basically so there's a funny story that he tells, and then I'll move on. But the funny story that he tells in Six by Sondheim, well, it's one of the interviews that's used in Six by Sondheim, where they're on the way to opening night of West Side Story. I think like the preview I believe in DC, where I am, and they're on the way to the theater, and Leonard Bernstein turns to Steve Sondheim and is like, you really should get a composer credit. Like, we really have like kind of, it's like split, like he's like their songs, and there are songs that are like, these ones are Sondheim and these ones are Bernstein. Like you can almost find like Something's Coming, definitely Sondheim. Officer Krupke's a Sondheim for sure. But like, and Stephen Sondheim was like, you know what? It's like right now it's really clean because it's like book writer, music writer, lyric writer. I don't want to like clutter it up. It's fine. But like because he said that in that moment, he screwed himself out of like he could have been getting double royalties like for all of this time from West Side Story. But people thought it was going to bomb before it came out. That musical.
Right. He did okay, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like the rapping presidents musical of its day. People are like, modernize Romeo and Juliet on the with street kids. Like,
Shakespeare. Right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, then it was really looked down on. Okay, last question here for this quiz. In the musical of your life, and it can be a jukebox musical, can be original. What are you singing as your 11 o'clock number? Like as it's all coming down, going to shit, or going great. What is the song that you sing that sums up your experience?
It's got to be Rose's turn, right? Like that's the
ultimate
thing.
Yeah, that is the ideal of. That's like the platonic ideal of the great 11 o'clock number.
Yeah, it's got to be that.
You know what? Stick with the classics. Can't go wrong. I always say. That's a perfectly good choice. All right, we'll go to break in a second, but I did want to just because you also you're kind of a connoisseur of trash cinema as well, right? You love a good thing that's really really bad. So what's your favorite like trash musical? Like for me, it's The Apple.
Oh, that's a great question.
Have you seen The Apple?
Okay, well, I have seen The Apple. That is not mine. Mine is Can't Stop the Music.
Oh, that's
the Village People music.
Very good one as well.
Yeah, I love that movie. It is insane.
Wild movie. Truly. Yeah. What other ones are there though? I was just thinking about this. Well, I mean, in some ways, the first one was, or not the first one, but like one of the first breakout ones was Rocky Horror. Like that was became celebrated for being bad.
Rocky Horror I also think is great, and I love Head, the Monkees musical.
Oh, I should watch, which was co-written by Jack Nicholson, right?
Yeah, I love like acid musicals.
Well, right, that was what that. I loved that behind the music.
Who's Tommy? Ken Russell, Who's Tommy?
With the baked beans.
There was a period in my life where I liked anything that just was like fun to watch. You know.
The Who's Tommy is like, that is a big. Mamma Mia, here I go again. No, that's a legitimate. Excuse me, Mamma Mia, here we go again is the Godfather 2 of ABBA musicals. Okay, it is the origin story of Meryl Streep, as well as I'm not gonna blow it. I'm not gonna spoiler. It has some of, and that's another one because we talked about not filming choreography well. Some of the best dance numbers and huge, and talk about scale. That British director, who also I think co-wrote it, that's the guy that I'm picking that needs to be directing the musicals, not Tom Hooper. Sorry, I mean, we love Cats is the ultimate trash masterpiece musical. I think it's gonna be hard to top that definitely. One. But don't go to Tom Hooper because Les Mis fucking sucked too, except for Anne Hathaway's one part, and everything else was whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was forgettable, which is the worst thing it could be.
Exactly, and Les Mis can't be that. That has to be like epic and like leave you crying.
Yeah, tried too hard.
All right, well, when we get back, we're gonna talk about a musical that actually I don't know if I would even call it a trash or not. It might be too good. I don't know. It's kind of in a weird place, which is gonna be
It's treasure. Yeah,
it's gonna be a really interesting discussion. So do not go anywhere. We'll be back in 5 minutes if I can do the thing. So hang out. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Oh wait, I didn't actually do the transition. You guys, it's going great. It is fully going great. We're back. It's Act 2. I'm getting my audio on your end, I think, Molly. I don't know if you want to. So. Oh, Max! Oh, I was talking about you earlier. Oh, I always do this. I leave the quiz up. Okay. Thank you all for sticking with us here. We are about to really get into it. But I did remember one more trash movie musical that's not fun. Not good at all. And I just watched it. And it's actually the most recent major movie musical to come out. Just a month ago. Have you seen The Prom? Okay, you're muted now.
No, I did not see The Prom.
Okay, now I
did
can
not see
hear
The Prom.
It was just, I think, delayed. Good, don't watch The Prom. I mean, no, there's nothing. It's not worth watching. I'll just tell you.
I heard it was really bad.
Watched it for this show, and yeah, that's another one that I think is going to make them not in a rush to make movie musicals. So actually, the one I'm pulling for, and that I think could actually be legitimately good, is In the Heights. I'm hoping that it's a well-made, really cool movie, because I want it to do well so that they adapt and try things with, movie musicals. Anyway, now for...
My friend called it, I haven't seen In the Heights, but my friend, when we saw the trailer before Cats, did ask if it was Gentrification, the musical.
It's not, though, I think. I mean, I'm not a big... I don't know much about In the Heights, but it is,
I think it's about stopping gentrification,
right.
The musical?
It's more that, I believe. And... Yeah, oh my god. Thank you, Jack. The Last 5 Years movie is... I mean, that was just a terrible idea from the outset. I mean, why would you do it? It's a series of solos. Who wants to watch a movie that's just... Oh my god.
That's a chorus line.
Well, sure. And yeah, I guess they did that too with Michael Douglas.
Also not great.
Yeah, I have not seen that one, but I probably will at some point. So, 2012's Rock of Ages. Now, this movie musical is a weird one. I mean, was it going to be huge, or was it exactly sort of mid-level? Where were the studio actually trying to do it? Because to me, it looked like some people Alec Baldwin were this isn't going to be good, and I'm going to kind of just be here and phoning it in a bit. And then you have the biggest movie star in the world acting like this is he's going for an Oscar in this movie, and I'm not kidding. In a movie that should not be in the and would never be in the conversation for Oscars, it looks like he's trying to get one.
That's Tom Cruise. He can't take it down.
Yeah,
that's how he is.
So
he lives it.
Well,
I believe that this movie. What I know about Rock of Ages is that they made it because Glee was so popular. But I think by the time it came out, they were kind of on the downswing of Glee being very popular. But it was clearly a very big budget movie. Our friend Drew Spears said they were shooting it in Miami when he was in college. And they turned the Miami, a strip in Miami, Sunset Strip, for just months at a time. So that's expensive.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So wait, it was filmed in Miami?
Yeah.
That's
wow. Filmed in Miami, set dressed as Hollywood.
Why? Is it cheaper? I guess Florida credits or tax credits. I know Georgia, but I've never heard of Florida as a place to film.
Everywhere's got those filming tax credits. I'm sure there was a reason they decided to do it there.
Yeah.
The original show is, I think, a little bit dirtier. This seems like they tried to kind of split the difference between family friendly and for adults, and couldn't.
And it's
quite.
I
find
know that
the balance because you can't.
I know that
balance.
you could never in a million years really sell this as an R-rated. Although maybe you could if you like went a bit more
there's
like
an R-rated cut.
Oh
Apparently.
yeah, I did see that in your thread. Everybody,
it's like a European cut.
Check out Molly's thread. I'll like retweet it again on my account from when she was watching Rock of Ages to get the live reactions. Very good. That's what inspired this episode because it is a very interesting, musical that, and I think starting with that it's steeped in rock culture and hair metal, and like I'm somebody that grew up watching a lot of like VH1 and like behind the music and stuff, and I didn't know any of these bands, but I would watch every behind the music, and the hair metal ones were always the best ones because they're like insane, and so it's like in that world, but it doesn't want to go that far with it because it wants to keep it PG-13, and I think even the stage show being dirtier is still like only to a point, and it's not gonna and it's not gonna get dark either. Like there's no risk of that.
The that seems appropriate is Grease, because Grease, the stage show, is like a little better than Grease, the film, and it doesn't seem like a huge difference, but apparently they like cut a few scenes from this to make more PG-13.
Yeah,
but it is weird because all of the songs are about like railing lines of cocaine and having sex all night.
Right.
So the sanction of it is in itself just like very funny and weird.
Yeah, like Pour Some Sugar on Me is sung, but it's like, wait, which is that one in the strip club? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so. With Mary J. Blige.
Was it? Oh, it is.
It's Tom Cruise's big number.
Oh, okay. It's Tom Cruise's big number. My producer is telling me.
She works at like a strip club, but it's like more of a burlesque club.
It's an underwear.
Really?
It's an underwear strip club, and also there is implied sex where it's an underwear sex as well. Just like it's like so. There's like they.
But there was a Sunset Strip club called Gazzari's that was like known for all these like lingerie shows. Again, that's not what this is.
Right, they could have, if they were gonna, like, they could have made it more of a burlesque and made it like more intentional that they're in underwear or something, or they could have made it R-rated. But then how do you sell it? And I mean, but that would be great. I mean, I want to see. I mean, like, have you seen Best Little Whorehouse in Texas?
I mean, that's a fucking great show.
It's a great movie. The movie is really good. I mean, Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds, like at the peak of their abilities. Charles Durning has like a hilarious little number, and there's tits galore in that movie. It's like, and because it's also like that 80s where you could do PG-13 and still show like boobs, and it's fine.
Right. No, that's a perfect example of like what I wish there was more of, but I understand why there's not. It's like
it's a tough sell.
I just feel like it's like in America, it's like the way animation is like for children here. It's like there's just this feeling of like musicals have to be for children if you're going to make one.
Yeah, or if it's going to be adult, it has to be serious. Like that's like
totally.
Which is funny because you look at
I
like
was not a fan of
well, you look at like Trey Parker and Matt Stone like shows or like their South Park, but I mean, of course, and then like the musical stuff in like Team America, but even those, like the music is like sort of slid in. It's like a part of it. It's not a musical first necessarily, but I mean,
those are musicals. Those guys clearly love musicals.
No, they are.
Right, those movies aren't sold as musicals.
Right. But so
like Trolls is a musical.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Trolls World Tour.
Well, they have a lot of those now. There's like Sing and like other stuff like that where it's like just an excuse to have a bunch of people, or like Rio is like, hey, we got Janelle Monáe to sing these songs on the soundtrack or whatever, and it's like, okay, I'm into it, fine, but like, they're just kind of that's how we do musicals now, and it bums me out when you think about At least like the Disney animated musicals with the original music and stuff, and then like I don't know about this new stuff. And then don't get me started on the other it's a 4-letter word for me. It's my least favorite film musical, I think, maybe ever, because it makes me so actively mad, and it's The Greatest Showman. I hate it.
Oh, I thought when you said 4-letter word, you were going to say Rent.
No, Rent has its place. Rent is important. I like Rent. I don't love the movie. I don't really like the movie, actually. It made a number of mistakes. But
Well, I think also it's like sometimes things miss their window. It's like it takes so long to get something adapted that's buzzy at the time that by the time it gets adapted into a movie, nobody cares anymore. That's why Cats was so funny, because they were like, we're going to adapt this movie after all these years.
Right.
And the exact same score, and it's going to be perfect.
They had like...
They didn't try to class it up. That's what I liked. They used those janky old synths.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Right. It's such a weird choice. And they were originally going to do it like animated, but then like T.S. Eliot's family was like, no, it needs to be more sexual and dangerous. It can't be animated.
That's right.
It's like, what the fuck? Well, mission accomplished with the movie, so. But now this movie musical. So Adam Shankman is an interesting guy who directed the Rock of Ages film. People might know him from So You Think You Can Dance, where he was a judge for a long time. Or is it that? Was that the one? Oh, it is?
He's an old white guy.
Yes. He also... Well, oh yeah, his film debut was The Wedding Planner. And he did choreography in Addams Family Values, which is a credit that I really like. Let's see what else. Okay, so these are his films: A Walk to Remember, Cheaper by the Dozen 2, Bringing Down the House, which is that's pretty good. The Pacifier, Hairspray. So then there you go. Bedtime Stories, the Adam Sandler family movie, and then Rock of Ages. So Rock of Ages, I think, was off the strength of Hairspray, and Hairspray, I think, did do pretty well, and it was critically well received enough, and like, so that like merited it, him getting this. And actually, I think like in terms of how the most of the numbers are filmed and staged, like I thought there was like a lot of cool stuff in here actually.
In Rock of Ages?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree. I think it's better than it needs to be in a number of ways.
Mm-hmm. Well, like
It's fun. It's stupid.
The selling point of the show is that it is not for one single second taking itself seriously. It's like winking at every moment, like, this is so stupid, but you're having fun. And for the most part, you're like, you know what? Yeah. And especially like with...
Yeah, and I heard that in the live show, they give you Jell-O shots.
That's perfect.
Right.
That's
like what the show is. It's a Jell-O shot.
And that's like... I love theater like that. Actually, there's a so I'm in DC, and there's a theater in Baltimore that I have a lot of friends that have worked with. It's called the Baltimore Rock Opera Society, and they like write and stage original, ridiculous, huge rock operas where they encourage people to get up and go get a beer and go to the bar during the show, and like they like people getting rowdy and like like chanting and like hooting back and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I love theater like that, and Broadway, like when they do that, like that's really cool. But
I know at the Oklahoma they gave people like chili in the middle or something.
Well, it was like a whole like what's the word? Not like potluck. It's like a bake. Not even like a bake sale. It's like a whatever. And clam bake is from Carousel.
Yeah.
It's a real nice clam bake. That's a real song.
I love that song.
Yeah, and they would have like whatever, like cobbler and pie and chili and stuff, or like the site specific Sweeney Todd that was done in like a bakery, like a pie shop, and they would give you meat pies at intermission or something.
That sounds horrible. I would not want that. Too fucked up.
Actually, they might have even been sweeter ones too. I don't know. I think that's great. I love it.
It's funny, but I would not be eating it.
So yeah, I love like that element of interactivity and saying like this isn't, because yeah, theater has such a reputation that is, especially like Broadway and like the nicer theaters where, you know, this is going to play, of being like a really nice event because it's expensive as fuck.
Yeah.
And it still is that. But then, so then this movie, in theory, has to be kind of you bringing the party home or to the movie theater or something. And, you know, I don't know that it totally achieves that. It's fun, but I don't know that it's like, that, like, as much as I have a great time watching it, it doesn't just, it could have gone to, the heights could have been higher. It could have like really done something cool. I think maybe like a little more satirical, or like have just like, while still keeping it very lowbrow and stupid, just like, I don't know. I don't really know how to crack it, but it's not quite there.
The creator of the show was not happy with the film version. He thought it was like too sort of condescending to the idea of what people actually like about hair metal in the first place, you know? Framing it too much as like, we know this is stupid.
Right.
And he was like, the whole point of the show is like, it's stupid and also transcendent. You know? Like, it's stupid, but also it has like this and it makes you feel great. So, I mean, I think the main problem, and this is the main problem with a lot of shows, is that the leads are terrible and boring. You know?
Julianne Hough in particular is rough. Diego Boneta doesn't bother me as much, especially his singing.
No, Diego is finally. Julianne Hough is the main character, and she is like such a nothing.
Julianne Hough, more like Julianne Ruff.
Well, it's, you know, she can dance is the thing. So they clearly cast her because they were like, she can dance. She's the new Olivia Newton-John. She can sing and dance and act.
She does look like Olivia Newton-John. I will give her that.
She looks like Olivia Newton-John, and her voice is this kind of like sugary, like high. It's hard to explain why some people are just like a void of charisma on screen.
Well, and
there's nothing wrong with her. She's just not good.
No, she is such a non-entity. Like, because I think one of the biggest issues, besides the fact that she's a total wooden performance, I like guffawed out loud at one point when she goes, "I loved you," and like that was the level, that was the line reading, and so like, yeah, she's a bad actor, but like I still think it could even be fine if she wasn't so vocally wrong for every song, because like this, we're talking about like, you're supposed to sound like gritty or like somehow like, you know, have an edge to your voice in some way.
Yeah, she does. She sounds like Olivia Newton-John too, which is just like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. She sounds like Pat Benatar for this show.
Right. My wife Abby pointed out as we were watching that, like, she observed that once they introduce the character of Mary J. Blige into the movie, every time that Julianne Hough has to sing for the rest of the movie, they double Mary J. Blige with her at the end, which is not in the stage show, so that she can do.
Mary J. was the main character,
so she can do like the riffs and like the interesting vocal stuff.
Yeah, But again, maybe this is just a problem that a lot of shows have, which is like, you know, the other characters in West Side Story are more fun than Tony and Maria, if you're just going by songs. And, you know, it's hard to play the straight couple, the straight romance
angle
of the show, unless you're like incredible at it. and they're just not incredible at it. So none of the emotional moments happen to them.
Yeah, like,
and you get more invested in, like, is Tom Cruise going to have sex with this journalist played by Malin Ackerman?
right. Well, and it's because the common complaint is that ingenue roles aren't as interesting and they're always kind of blanks, and that's true. And I don't. Oh no, there goes my camera again. I don't know if they could necessarily that these are necessarily bad ingenue. It's all good. It's all fine. I don't really know how I fixed it, but I fixed it, and we're just gonna say it's gonna keep working. So I'm relying on the chat. Where were we, chat? Totally derailed. So Rock of Ages. Oh yes, we were talking about the charismatic leads of Julianne Hough, and I think that you could have done this very, very funny. Like, actually, sometimes you can play ingenues that are meant to be, like, kind of dumb and over idealistic. A musical I really like a lot, Urinetown, is a great example of this. It has two great comedic ingenues, and that has all the potential for that here. But, like, Julianne Hough, like, she gets no. I don't know if she understands irony or like if she could have even done the comedy if she wanted to. If she, like, I don't think she knew that she could.
She's just a nice Mormon girl who can dance.
Yeah, talk about a weird upbringing.
It's never believable for a second that she becomes overcome by the depravity of the Sunset Strip. That's the problem.
I don't believe her for a second becoming a stripper.
Moment.
Not for a second, her becoming a stripper. You want to talk about a weird upbringing, though? Can we just, like, have a quick sidebar about Julianne and Derek Hough's childhood? Do you know about this?
Some Osmond shit. Some Osmond stuff.
They were, like, their parents were divorcing and they were shipped away to live with a man named Corky. Corky Ballast.
To learn how to dance? And they went to, like, a special arts school in, they went and lived in, like, in the UK. I don't know if it was London, but it was definitely in the UK. And actually, no, it might have been London. With Mark Ballast, and so of course Derek is like, and Mark Ballast were big dance partners on Dancing with the Stars, and Derek Hough also is like a big choreographer in general as well. And then Julianne's like, I want to be the big actor too, but why this movie? Like, why? Because it makes sense because she can dance. They were like, it's a musical.
Does she that much? I mean, a little bit, but not the type of dancing that she would, like, I would want her for.
No. Because they were trying to get her and stuff, and this was the vehicle that was happening at the time that they were, like, trying to get her and stuff.
What would have worked? Now, something that always gets thrown around as being in development or coming out soon and then never, ever, ever happens, speaking of one of your favorite musicals and mine, Guys and Dolls. What about could she be a Sarah Brown in Guys and Dolls? Because that is kind of also like
no, because you could find somebody better. You'd get like Anne Hathaway or whatever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
You don't.
Well, that is.
She'd be fine in an act. She'd be fine in like an actual Broadway show, probably.
Right. Well, and that's what's frustrating about this is that you see people like Tom Cruise just like killing it, and even like your Russell Brands and like your Catherine Zeta-Jones or stuff.
No,
like,
a lot of people are giving it their all in this movie.
Yeah, and so like she's just such
the weirdest cast.
And she's such a turd though that like every time she's like on the screen it's just like like, and it's the easiest thing you could have cast.
Movies.
You could have cast like it would have taken you 2 seconds to find someone better and more famous probably because it's not like she was a household name or anything. But yeah,
He had a good agent in 2012 or whatever.
Let's get into this cast because you're right, really? It is crazy. Someone we haven't mentioned yet, Paul Giamatti in an extremely Paul Giamatti role to the point where his name is Paul. The character's name is Paul. And it's like that. It's exactly his part in Private Parts, I think. Maybe.
It's just a classic Paul Giamatti role. It's like Paul Giamatti is Paul Giamatti. He gets one song, thank God.
Which is like he has like 3 lines in one song. Yeah, he's
still worth it.
Yeah, but it's such a good Paul Giamatti performance. Malin Ackerman. So in my Wikipedia research that I always do said that, and I just couldn't believe this, the Malin Ackerman's part was first offered to Anne Hathaway and what's her face? Shit, Amy Adams. I'm just blanking on her name. One of my favorite actors. And they both passed, if you can believe it. They were not interested in having Tom Cruise sing into their butt, which is, I don't understand why. But also, they had to have been thinking about then enlarging that role if one of those two were cast, I think, right? They would have had to.
I guess so, but I think they were probably also with that and the Tom Cruise role being like, you can come in and do a few days on this and make $1 billion and get the best reviews you've gotten in a decade.
Right.
Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? And like, the Tom Cruise performance, which is the number one reason to watch this movie, is that Tom Cruise plays a hair metal star and he's amazing. And he sings in his real voice, which like
I can't believe
else,
it.
He like got a vocal coach to learn how to sing, and you're like, oh, he has a beautiful voice and like could have been singing all along. It's crazy to hear him sing.
But also it's like, and that's the type of person he is. I mean, like, of course he has like an incomprehensible amount of money, so he can just be like, I'm going to learn to be just an amazing hair metal vocalist, so I can devote 5 hours a day with top coaches.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't necessarily mean he'd be good at it, but
he needs to be able to carry a tune first, and I think that they found that they were like, oh, you actually can sing. He just hasn't.
He can sing. Tom Cruise can sing, and that's just like an amazing like hearing sound in a movie for the first time experience, because you're just like, wow, he's been a movie star for so long, but I can't remember hearing him sing other than in Top Gun when they sing, You've Lost That Loving Feeling.
And my lady Gugu brings up in the chat here, and she's absolutely right, that you compare this to Mark Wahlberg in Rockstar, where he does not even do his own singing, I don't think. And you don't believe for a second as a rock star.
No, and that movie I definitely thought about, because I feel like Hollywood can't get hair metal right for whatever reason. Even The Dirt, the Motley Crue, like Netflix movie, it's just like, maybe you just had to be there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But maybe
it's not,
especially in the Tom Cruise like performances, like the musical performances of Tom Cruise, there are moments where like you could tell me that this is like a classic MTV music video or something, like a little snippet of it, because like it and that also I think is partially Adam Shankman like filming it well, like in that style too. But like Tom Cruise is dynamite.
Well, he's doing an incredible thing, which is I love sleazy Tom Cruise is my favorite iteration of Tom Cruise.
This is close to Magnolia Tom Cruise a bit too, especially with the long hair.
To me, it's like Magnolia Tom Cruise combined with Interview with the Vampire Tom Cruise, with Lestat Tom Cruise.
Oh, sure.
It's just like, he's doing all the stuff he does, which he's so good at anyway, of like, I'm looking you in the eyes and I'm talking to you and you're the only person in the room, and like, no one's ever seen you before. And he's doing it. That's like all that rock stars do, That's like the entire thing of being a front man, is like getting on stage and seducing a crowd of 1 billion people. And that's like, he was born to do it. So it's just amazing to watch.
And it's almost like to the movie's detriment almost, because you're like, if everybody was bringing it at this level, because it's not like the material that Tom Cruise is working with is any better than what they've got. He's just somehow channeled it into this like 3-dimensional crazy like being that like,
and
it works.
He's not condescending to the material,
Right.
which is also like he's incapable of condescending to the material. He doesn't.
Contra
Alec Baldwin
Baldwin.
tried to quit.
Right.
Yeah. Alec Baldwin apparently tried to quit the day before they started shooting, and it was going to cost him so much money to get out of his contract that he just did it. So he kind of plays it like somebody who really doesn't want to be there, but that's a funny way to play like a club manager character.
It kind of works.
Like,
it does kind of work.
Yeah. And, spoiler alert, but like to his credit, he has a romance with the Russell Brand character.
Mm-hmm. It's played straight. Yeah.
It's played straight, which is great. I completely assumed it was gonna like take a turn that I would be like mad about, and they don't. They just play it with love. That's the true love story of the movie.
It really and they're much more charismatic actors and performers for sure. Although I think Diego especially is hurt by having to share so much with Julianne Hough. I think that him with a more charismatic actor, I think he actually could have really popped.
Yeah, he's actually quite good. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with casting like real, theater actors in these roles.
Well, and he also was on Pretty Little Liars at the time that he was cast. So he was kind of almost a name for like people they might have been trying to get into the theater to see this, along with Julianne Hough. Like they were going for like young teens, I think, which is why they had to keep it PG-13.
Trying to think who it could have been. Yeah.
I don't know, but truly anyone, just like throw a dart like at like the Disney Channel lineup or whatever at the time, and just like could have done like Brie Larson at the time probably.
Right.
This
Miley,
is pre-room.
Maybe Miley.
Because this would have
Miley might have been too young, but.
Yeah, no, Miley would have been... Miley would have killed it, actually. Remake this movie with all the same actors and then sub in Miley. It's a good movie.
Her new album is very, like, hair metal themed.
Well, I mean,
it's great.
And that's the exact kind of vocal edge you need, is her voice.
Yeah,
like that
she's got a great rock voice.
And it doesn't need to be...
That's what you want.
Yeah, and it doesn't even need to be that exact... timbre or anything. It just needs character. The voice needs character.
Right. And like everybody else has character. Mary J. Blige, great for musicals because she has such a great character voice.
She can't not like just completely emote in every moment, and it's great.
Yeah. So like it makes more, better to cast somebody who's not like the perfect dancer and singer than to cast Julianne Hough, who's like on paper really good at these things but has no vibe. It's like cast a singer or an actress and teach them how to sing and dance.
Yeah. I mean, she might have already been too famous at this point, but I don't know, 2012, but Emma Stone would have been like...
Yeah, but La La Land sucks so bad.
I know. But at least... Yeah, actually, I take it back. Although she did like Cabaret on Broadway too, so like she could do...
She was on that reality show, Find the Next Partridge Family.
Oh, right.
She won.
Oh, right.
She could do it. She's funny, too. I think that's the key that you're getting at.
Right. Or just...
Need somebody a little funnier. Someone who can do, like, any physical comedy.
Well, anyway, the movie was made for $75 million.
Oh, yeah.
Which, every dollar on the screen. Actually, I don't know. I don't really know. And it made... 59.4 million. So did not set the cause of rock movie musicals forward very well here. And in fact, like knowing Hollywood, what's going to get the next rock movie? You want to know what the next rock movie musical is going to be? It's going to be School of Rock.
Oh.
The Broadway, that's already the adaptation that's already, and it's going to be another film to stage to film. It's going to take all the edge out of like the original Jack Black performance.
They have to know it's been successful in 2 venues already in order to be like, let's take a chance on it.
But then it's like just annoying and repetitive. Like, I don't know. I don't understand. Like, especially the producers. That one really bothers me because, yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not very good. It works better on a stage, and then they just don't calibrate the numbers or the performances at all for film. They just put a camera on the stage, and it's like, and so everything like reads so bizarrely, and it's most of the original cast too.
So it's just broad.
Because it's dialed up for Broadway acting, and so it's like.
Yeah, because I saw the producers on Broadway and totally enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I did too. Like in high school, and it's because I loved the movie, and it's fun for me, to see a movie then on stage where they've added stuff to it. Like that is kind of, or at least then, I mean, it had a novelty, and that novelty's worn off at this point because every movie's now a musical. But it just didn't make any sense why to just, I don't know. I complain about that movie too much. Well, Gary Beach and Roger Bart stole the stage show as well, and. I actually think that like Will Ferrell and Uma Thurman are pretty good because they are film actors and understand like that acting, and but they're like they're in different movies because they're the odd ducks out that weren't in the original
also,
cast.
Like Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick have been in some fucking movies. Like they should know how to calibrate as well.
Right, but
Mel Brooks directs the movie?
No. It was also Susan Stroman who directed the stage show, and it's the only movie she's ever directed. Right. So
there you go. Maybe she
just stuck a camera on it and and just said do what we did, which is fine. So anyway, Rock of Ages. I'm trying to think what else. If there's anything else we did not cover in Rock of Ages. Well, let's just give
you guys have any questions in the chat about Rock of Ages? Let us know.
Let's just give a quick report card then. Just a letter grade for every actor. We'll just give the report card. So, Julianne Hough, I'm giving D. That's the nicest I can be. Uh-oh, we lost Molly. Hi everyone. Okay, it's gonna be okay. She's coming back.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
My fault. This time I got so excited.
All right, I'm giving Julianne Hough a D. Personally, I'm being nice.
I agree. A D for Julianne.
She, pulls off some looks. She does do some cool dances. But yeah, like I'm thinking about like her first number where she's like almost paradise and she's like singing it as she's like walking down the street and it's like, hell around her basically. Like it's clearly like the joke of the song is so clear and she can't play it. Like that's like such an easy like.
No, she can't do anything funny. She's just too bright-eyed the whole time. But also to me, I'm like, that is paradise. I love the Sunset Strip. It's so gross. I love it.
Is there a fake Rock of Ages analog in Smash? I have not watched Smash. Have you watched Smash?
I don't know. No.
I've been resisting Smash. I haven't been wanting to. I can't handle that much Deborah messing, but I don't know.
Legendary show.
I at some point will probably have to. That's interesting. Okay. Diego Boneta, I will say B+.
Yeah, that's what I would say too, B+.
All right, I'll stop grading first. I'm feeling greedy. What do you give Russell Brand?
Russell Brand, I would give an A-.
Yeah, that seems right. I mean, he totally fits in the world clearly, and he's sung like this before. He's
great.
Yeah, he does a lot to sell it. And he doesn't do too much, which he could have easily done.
Yes.
He does just enough, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti, I'm just giving straight up A, personally.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's everything you want out of a Paul Giamatti performance. He's cantankerous as ever, slimy. It's great. CZJ, Catherine Zeta-Jones, a great of the movie musical Academy Award winner. I thought she was fun.
Yeah, she was fun. She was taking it seriously.
Which that part is not in the stage show. That part and
interesting.
And the Bryan Cranston part. Bryan Cranston also in this movie, who does not sing though.
That's the mayor of Los Angeles.
Yes, Bryan Cranston is in this movie.
And it's like a flash dance situation where they are worried about the Sunset Strip. the the sleaziness taking over Los Angeles.
But then the whole time he's sleeping around on his wife, and he's a total sleaze.
Yes, and his wife is secretly really into hair metal.
Right, and his wife was...
I mean, there was a time in the 60s when there was a big battle over the Sunset Strip because they opened all these clubs that young people were going to, and they started sending out cops to like enforce a curfew every night because people were mad about all the hippies on the Sunset Strip. But the Sunset Strip has always been a tourism and entertainment zone, so like the idea that they would be like, we have to clean it up is a little silly.
Right, and but
it is next to Beverly Hills. That's also true.
Right, and the huge like altercation in the street and like that. Like, that's a classic musical trope, though, especially to come into the end and have there be like a huge showdown of all the ensembles.
But there are pictures of that happening in the 60s of like your classic showdown on the Sunset Strip with picket signs like those.
And that's like the era of like reefer madness too, and like so much of like
their signs were like basically like fuck the cops of the 60s.
That's amazing. Well, we love that spirit. Did this movie keep that spirit alive?
I mean, this movie could be a little more rambunctious. That's the problem, I think, with it.
Yeah, how do we... Ultimately, we've talked around this. How do we fix it? How are you fixing this movie to make it... Take it from, like, a fun, pretty good... Tom Cruise is great. It's worth it for that. To, like, the movie is... This is a great movie musical.
I don't know. I mean, I would probably just change the main actress to a different person. I think would really go a long way to fixing this movie.
I think that would make it really good. Like, just a totally, like, it would have probably been a big hit. Just like because I think if it was any good at all, especially with Tom Cruise's performance in it, it would have gotten a lot more, I think, reception or love. But
yeah, I think the studio thought it was going to be a big hit. So they were surprised.
Yeah, because Hairspray came out around the same time as the Mamma Mia movie, which that made a ton of money, and the soundtrack is like the #1 selling album in UK history or something. The soundtrack to the Mamma Mia movie. So like, and Hairspray was a big hit too. So it's not long after that, and so it's still in that world, but it's also never going to get taken seriously for what it is. So yeah, it's trying to... I don't know what it's entirely clear what it's trying to do, but there are moments where it works and it's really fun.
Yeah, and that's worth it. Just like as a quarantine movie, I recommend it because it has a lot of like what the fucks in it, and it's just worth it for the Tom Cruise performance because it's crazy.
Yeah, truly, he is...
Stacey Jacks.
It's one of his best, I think, easily.
Yeah. And it's crazy that there's such a good performance in a movie that we all agree is kind of otherwise mid.
Wow.
I mean, I think I would also just...
My wife is full standing. She says she loves the movie. She loves it. I don't know if I love it, but I do like it a lot.
Well, I found out that the live show is in Vegas. You can go see Rock of Ages, the musical, at like the Hard Rock Cafe Casino.
Well,
and I was like, oh, I would love to do that after the vaccine. Like, that would be great.
It's Wikipedia. You look at the productions, like where they've had full productions that have been like in residency or whatever. It's insane. The list is so long. Well, it started actually in Los Angeles in 2005, before Broadway. And then it was in Las Vegas, then off Broadway, and then to Broadway in 2009. And then it's just since then gone all over the world. The big star of the Broadway was, and I'm sure you saw this, was
I know, yeah.
Constantine, what's his name?
Papadopoulos. Yeah,
guy from American Idol. Maroulis.
Yeah.
Guy from American Idol was the original, what's his face, like the main...
Stacey Jacks.
Oh, he was Stacey Jacks.
His name is Stacey Jacks.
Oh, he was... That's amazing.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a fun little Rocky Horror
He
type
was Drew.
show.
He was the he was the ingenue part. Will Swenson, who is great, he's actually married to another Broadway legend that we love, Audra McDonald, and he was in the Broadway revival of Hair. He was Stacey Jacks.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see like a local production of this. It just is fun.
And I know that there was like a community theater where I know some people that did it in Virginia by me that like was like really well received. Like people loved it, and it like sold like crazy. Like that's the thing, is like this is like, to your point, like this is what people want. Like when they really go to a musical, like I think that this is really in the way that some people tell me why they like The Greatest Showman. Oh God, I hate it. Because they're like, yeah, I turn off my brain and it's like fun. And I'm like, yeah, but it's
this
also
is like I want to turn off my brain.
Right.
And that's why.
Like Greatest Showman is humanizing a monster, and the songs aren't that good, and they're repetitive lyrics that don't say or mean anything. And then these are like rock songs that we all love. So it's just like well, these are like repetitive songs that don't mean anything, but like that's kind of the point. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna fucking party. We're gonna get drunk, and like maybe we're gonna fall in love. Who knows? They're all great songs. My main complaint about this show is that I would personally switch in different. If I were building an '80s hair metal jukebox musical, I would have like a specific lineup. You know, some of these songs I think kind of push the boundaries of like what they could get to license and what versus what would be the most emblematic hair metal songs to have in a hair metal show. But the thing that bothers me the most is that they don't do Rock of Ages by Def Leppard, which is the name of the show. Yeah.
Because that's a good ass song.
But it is it's just remarkable, the songs that they get. They do get quite a track list. And
every time they were like, we're going to do that thing where we sing two songs against each other like every musical does for a big climax, it was always super funny. They picked super funny combinations.
And they don't do it too much, and when they do, yeah, it works. And something I think that, like you were saying, that the songs all are kind of repetitive and mean nothing besides like, you know, having sex and doing drugs or whatever. I was actually impressed that they were able to kind of work the songs into the narrative or into the characters as well as they could. Like they would kind of come up and be like, oh, huh. And like, that's like kind of an important thing you need in a jukebox musical that's like hard to do. I mean, it doesn't always work, but like when it does, you're like, oh, this is kind of, it's funny how this applies to her situation or his situation. You're like, oh, okay.
No, it's very smart how they did it, you know, because like Singing in the Rain is like that too. It was like a bunch of songs from the MGM catalog that they were like, put these all, you know, make us a new thing with things we already own.
Templeton Stagg says,
and this is like that.
Templeton Stagg says the live show Templeton Stagg in the chat says the live show is so good, such a funny, self-aware book that didn't translate in the movie, and I could totally see, and that's what I wanted. I wanted that level of. Yeah. It has a little bit of self-awareness, but like, yeah, to your point, where it's like undercutting itself though a bit, which sometimes works, but after a while, you know, that's where I think critics reacted so negatively to it is, and I, you know, maybe fairly, because they're like, it's empty, it's like so nothing, and it's like saying it's nothing, and it's like, well, then why are you wasting my time, kind of, you know. I get that argument,
right? I mean, I think it has its moments. It was like a perfect day-long diversion.
Oh yeah,
so
totally,
I recommend it.
I do too,
100%. I think it's a great
know what it is going
quarantine movie.
Don't see it sober.
Yeah, it's fun.
Have fun. Just when you're ready to just like, that is, turn off your brain, have fun. Well, Molly, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Do you have anything that you would like to plug, or any final thoughts?
I will just plug my Twitter, Molly Lambert, at Molly Lambert on Twitter. I'll have some other podcast stuff coming out later this year. I'm doing a podcast about Heidi Fleiss. I'll have more info on that later.
Look out for that.
And if you just want to hear fun Rock of Ages stories, or I watch things. I'll watch other musicals in the future, I'm sure. So
yeah,
check it out.
Molly is so. I've been following Molly for years on Twitter. She's great. Just always a great follow, great person, and it's so awesome to have you here. I just love the fate, just like me on Twitter being like, oh, Molly's thread about Rock of Ages is really funny, and I'll be like,
I was so happy that you asked me to talk about Rock of Ages, and I was familiar with your show from Kate Raft going on it, and
our queen,
being part of that universe.
She is the queen that birthed this show. I give her credit. This all started on her birthday marathon.
She's our Stacey Jacks.
Absolutely,
we worship her.
She is that is canon now. That is musical theater is good actually canon. Kate Raft is the Stacey Jacks of musical theater is good actually.
We should stage this show live sometime on Twitch, is what I think.
I know. I've been thinking about like how to do a kind of like what show would work for like a virtual kind of show. I was listening to some Jesus Christ Superstar in the shower, and I was like, what if you had this where it was like, I was like already like, this is too corny to exist, but it was like, everybody like, what's the buzz? And they're all like on like Instagram Live, like, what's the buzz? And they're tweeting, what's the buzz?
It's a perfect one too, because that's a show that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Well, and
it's fun to sing.
We talked about this a bit last week, but it was written as an album first, as the concept album. So it is really, and also Andrew Lloyd Webber is always 3 principals, big ensemble. So it's like you can like really silo it like that. Or this had in a few featured things. But yeah, and then I would have like Jesus be like a YouTuber, and then like Judas be like the Twitch streamer that's like watching his YouTube videos live and like singing about why he's bullshit. So this is so look forward to that. Now that's what I'm working on, and I don't think I'm really gonna do that. Next week is going to be a really fun show. We're breaking format next week to have the first ever Musical Theater is Good Actually book club. We are going to be talking about The Song of Spider-Man. Speaking of, you were talking about how Broadway loves IP, that they just want to be huge kind of like spectacle, or so just a fascinating story. Have you read that book?
No, is it about the Julie Taymor Spider-Man?
And it is written by
No, but amazing.
It's written by the book writer of the musical, Glenn Berger, or Berger, I don't know. And so it's very like half memoir of his time, and like him working with his hero to his hero growing to him betraying her and then growing to hate him. It's an amazing story.
There's an amazing Law and Order SVU about it.
Oh.
Maybe it's a Criminal Intent, actually. There's a Law and Order episode about Spider-Man the musical that stars Cynthia Nixon as Julie Taymor.
Okay, and, I will be showing clips of that.
Smith. Yeah, Patti Smith is a professor of Greek history, because in it, it's not a Spider-Man musical. It's like I think it's like a Icarus musical.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well,
you get the idea.
It's
like Cynthia Nixon is like, I don't care how many people die. We must see my vision. Amazing.
Yeah, the biggest mistake they made was choose that musical specific, like that superhero specifically, to make like it's the hardest thing to pull off. He needs to be like sling from one thing to the next. It's not just like flying, which is easy to do. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're gonna have great guests.
No Peter Pan.
Yeah, we're gonna have awesome guests. We got Joan Haley Ford. So 3 return favorites, I should say. Joan Haley Ford was kind of one of the first volunteers for this episode, so I'm so excited to have her. And then Alex Kleiner and Harrison Smith, Mind Sugar 666, are going to be back as well, to my good buds. And we're just going to talk about a collaboration gone horribly awry, and I think we're also going to try to watch a slime tutorial of that musical as well, the 2.0 version, I should say. And slime tutorials, that's a code. I don't know if you know that, but it's fine. It's for the people on the inside. Anyway, I'm going to let you go because, we've already gone long enough. But this has been so much fun, Molly. Everybody tune in. Yes, rock out, everybody. Come on, give them the horns, everybody. Can we get horns going in the chat, please? Can we please get horns going in the chat? And remember, everybody, to please rock on, etc., etc. Is there anybody to raid yet? No, I was hoping Jack might be live. So no, I'm just going to end. I'm going to go to my end screen here. And yeah, we're going to call that a show, everybody. Thanks for being here. Molly, thank you again. And we will see everybody next week. Bye.